Mercedes are known as sly operators, and it's become common practice for them to hide performance in pre-season testing. But this time, their struggles are different. Those of you who have followed F1 for a few years now will know the modus operandi of Mercedes. During the past 8 years, they've dominated the Constructors' Championship, but have only been the fastest car in pre-season testing twice. Want to know why this year might be different? Then stick with us to find out why. 3 days of track time was all the teams had to take what they'd learnt in Barcelona and put it into practice before race week 1 begins on Friday the 18th with the Bahrain Grand Prix. Porpoising was top of the to-do list for many teams in the 2 weeks between the two testing sessions. The variety of issues facing the teams was incredible. None more pressing than Haas's hunt for a new driver though. Mercedes had issues in Barcelona testing. Foremost, of course, was the porpoising that plagued much of the grid. But this was Mercedes, a big budget team, serial winners and employers of some of the best minds in Formula 1. If anyone was going to solve the problem, it would be them. Day 1 in Bahrain came around, and talks of some revolutionary car changes that, in the simulator at least, were meant to net them a second lap of improvement. The car that came out of the garage looked impressive. They had made design choices that looked to be in the opposite direction to their competitors. While Red Bull chose to fly with their wing-like side pods, Mercedes had gone for a much tighter design, almost like a fish's gills. But when it came to track times, it was like Mercedes were trying to drive through water, while the prancing horse galloped and the Red Bull gave its drivers wings. The drivers tried to give a positive tone to the media though. There is potential within our car to get us there, Hamilton said. We've just got to learn to extract it and fix some of the problems, but we have some hurdles to overcome. After 3 days of testing, things weren't improving for Mercedes. On day 3, Lewis Hamilton's morning stint was only fast enough to back him 17th on the grid of the 18 drivers who had run. Sandbagging is one thing. 4.5 seconds a lap slower than world champion Max Verstappen is another. George Russell managed better in the afternoon session, a close 4th behind Fernando Alonso in the impressive Alpine. This wasn't enough to please the young Brit though. New to the team for 2022, George Russell seemed less than happy despite his dream move to Mercedes coming through. The performance isn't there. We do seem a step behind our rivals, and we have to do a lot of work between now and next week to understand it. Because in every condition, the Red Bull and Ferrari seem a step ahead of us. The rest of the paddock have lived with this for years now. Mercedes underperforming in testing is nothing new. But this year, it might just be different, and there were signs to back it up as well. As many teams' cars stabilised throughout the testing in Bahrain, Mercedes seemed to continue on their rough road to race week 1. Andrew Chauvelin, trackside engineering director, spoke about the team's progress with porpoising. We've made a bit of progress with the bouncing, which in turn has made the car less of a handful on the limit, and it also feels like we've made a step in the right direction with setup today. There's still a lot of pace to come if we can make further gains on the bouncing and get the car more settled. It's not just the amount of porpoising that's causing the problem, and the Mercedes car has a boot full of it. It's also the location. Other teams are experiencing it on the straights, but the Mercedes car is bouncing its way through the higher speed corners as well. The easy fix for Mercedes is to raise the ride height, a simple enough change that your local garage could probably handle. The problem with that though is the higher the car, the slower the lap times, and the less competitive they get. It's a trade they'll probably have to take though. It isn't just excessive downforce that the team is struggling with though. They're a bit on the heavy side as well. In Formula 1, being 10 kilograms above the minimum weight means losing 0.3 seconds a lap to your skinnier rivals. 0.3 seconds a lap is more than enough to go from world champions to midfield straggler. Even the other drivers are starting to be convinced. I think the conclusion is Mercedes probably doesn't look as good as they were in the past, says Pierre Gasly, who has been around long enough now to know a slow car when he sees one. If Mercedes are sandbagging again this year, it will be their greatest performance yet. There will be those hoping they once again pull a rabbit out of the hat before the Bahrain GP and return to their magical winning ways. Others will be hoping that Mercedes will fall flat for the first time in 8 years. Either way though, it's going to be a fantastic show. Let us know in the comments section if you think they're faking it, or if they'll make it as they always do. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button to never miss an update from GP Culture.